Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Transfer Marketing Podcast for season two. It's been quite some time since we launched an episode. The reason being is because I wanted season two to be a little different, focus on the next steps of marketing. And as we speak about the next steps, I think we have Piyush Gupta here. Piyush Gupta is the co founder of Vosmos. And I think in today's episode, as you can obviously read the title below, the first episode is obviously going to be focusing on Metaverse that apparently everyone seems to be speaking about. And I'm glad to actually have Piyush here to help explain and go through some of the doubts, queries about Metaverse and how can it impact marketing. So Piyush, welcome to the Transfer Marketing Podcast. I'm very glad to have you here and as the first guest of season two.
Hey Prashant, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad that I'm the first guest. Others can then follow, and glad that you're changing. Also, I think that's very good, and not following the trend for in the first season, right? So,
Yeah,
kind of doing a video piece and also all the
exactly.
best to
Yeah,
you. All the best to you. Let's deep dive in the metaverse piece of it. I don't know of the questions you said, we can answer a lot of questions. Let's see how that
yeah,
goes. I'm sure people have a lot of them. Let's see
yeah.
how.
Perfect. So I think I'll start with, something that a lot of people have on top of their minds when it comes to metaverse. We can
Mhm,
obviously deep dive into the marketing aspect a little later.
mhm,
But today, as we stand, or maybe even in the next 2 or 3 years, which is the in the next possibly short term from a short term objective,
mhm.
where do you see metaverse currently? What is the use and possibly the usefulness of metaverse as we stand today? Do you think it's primarily in the development phase, or do you feel that a lot of people have started activating this technology and platform to possibly create something substantial and also engage with a lot of audiences?
Hmm. So I'll take a step back.
Sure.
Honestly, metaverse is a concept, right? And
Yeah.
it probably will be a tool in the armory for a marketer. That's how I look at it.
Correct.
Where it is, let me kind of tell you. So look at it how marketing started. We first started with
Hmm.
newspaper piece of it, right? Where
Yeah.
that was the first thing. Then the radio came in. That
Right.
got termed as ATL, right?
Correct.
Above the line marketing.
Yeah.
And then people realized that okay, this is not the only way or the best way to go about it. So hence the
True.
direct marketing came in. That okay, in ATL you send it to thousands of people, and then you hope that 1%, 2% will look at it, and interactions were hardly there, right?
Correct.
Then we said okay, PTL started coming in, the below the line, where you say, okay, can I reach
Yeah.
my consumer directly? And suppose I want to
Hmm.
talk to students, I would be distributing flyers outside the university or an institute and
Correct.
connecting with them, right?
Yeah.
Post that, with more money coming in, what happened was the events started happening. That okay, can I do
True.
events, right? In
Yeah.
uh, large scale events, small scale events, events in 5 stars, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That started happening. That's the whole BTL part of it.
Yeah.
While people still do it, it's an expensive affair to connect with your customers, right?
True.
Then the biggest evolution happened, which is where digital marketing came in.
Correct. Yeah.
It's still evolving. I don't think we've kind of understood digital marketing completely because every day there is some innovation happening.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Again, in digital marketing, it was basically, if you look at it,
Hmm.
while you try talking to a certain set of people, but it's still
Hmm.
somewhere in between ATL and BTL. You
Hmm.
really can't talk to your customer completely, whom you want to, right? You still have
Yeah.
to do a mass marketing. Certain set of people will start talking to you, but the good thing is the interactions have gone up, right? It's got
Hmm.
consumer closer to the brand. Just the access part of it has become better,
Correct.
right?
So basically, you're moving from more, a mass market to customized, and then hopefully we are moving towards personalization.
So right, so
Yeah.
that's what it is, right? And that's what digital
Yeah.
help, right? And it is still helping a lot of people.
Correct.
Now, how does metaverse come in the picture? The
Hmm.
next evolution of digital marketing would be that where
Yeah.
uh, you know you are basically bringing an experience. You're basically, for a marketer, you're
Hmm.
saying okay, I'm able to build brands. So what digital marketing
Hmm.
does is help you to connect with your consumer, but it is
True.
still not helping you create your brand, because
Hmm.
if you look at marketing, right,
Yeah.
the brand gets created by visual identity, colors, look and feel, touch, all of that
Hmm.
stuff, right?
Hmm.
Now, with, for example, the D2C brands who are coming in, who don't have,
Hmm.
they don't have a physical store, they're all online, right?
Hmm.
Considering that they're online, the connect with the customer is very limited. You go to an Insta, you look at the product, you buy it. You don't even know
Yeah.
next time you're going to remember that brand or not. And we have done enough
Hmm.
research to, get to that okay, the brand loyalty and trust has fallen. In fact, one of the
Yeah.
data is that uh, it's fallen more than 60% over the years, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
significant fall.
Yeah.
Metaverse is, the usefulness of metaverse is it can
Hmm.
bring that loyalty back. It can
Hmm.
bring that trust back, because individuals will be able to
Hmm.
connect with brands. That's one part of it. There is a lot
Sure.
of data driven that will happen, which means that, so imagine you walk into a
Hmm.
store, physical store. Currently the store
Hmm.
guy doesn't know who you are. They don't
Right.
know why you are here, what you want to buy it, and stuff, right? But
Sure.
metaverse kind of will help you give that personalization also. So apart from
Correct.
building a brand connect through the
Hmm.
sense marketing piece of it, right?
Hmm.
It will start through data. It will start
Hmm.
making the whole customization part coming in, which is the
Yeah.
next future of marketing. The mass customization, right? Where
Yeah.
every time I am connecting with the brand
Hmm.
knows who I am, right? And then
Yeah.
and converses me in that language that I am comfortable with.
Yeah, sure. So would you say it's more about like the experience of possibly having something that you can touch and feel and combining that with possibly digital to enhance a customer's experience? Would Metaverse help in that, or would you have a slightly different thought?
No, it does. You're bang on, right? It
Yeah,
does. Right? It definitely kind of combines and helps the experience part of it. And
correct.
in that, there are a lot of things, like I mentioned, comes in the picture, and data plays a
Hmm.
very important role. I know
Right.
we talk about data privacy and all that, right?
Sure.
But I think, while the reason we talk about data privacy is
Hmm.
because uh, the data has been used without the consent, right? The moment you
Yeah.
start into that level where you tell the customer that this is why I'm going to use your data, right,
Hmm.
in a very right manner, and say this is
Hmm.
going to enhance your brand experience or brand connect with us, right?
Right.
You start seeing that, experience and the data combining together
Hmm.
to building the brand,
Yeah.
stronger for any marketer.
True, true. So, in fact, I was just thinking in the direction of, and since you spoke about digital, and I was just started thinking on where the internet was probably in the early '90s, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people thought it was a bubble. What is
Mhm.
this connection that people have? And there was a lot of apprehension towards it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Today, if we look at the internet, as they used to say, shelter, food, water is your essentials. Now, obviously, the fourth element is internet, because you tend to go a little helter skelter when your internet goes off, for
Oh,
example.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
just bringing that aspect to the entire metaverse universe, right? So, today, as we stand, people speak about entire cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs, metaverse as a so-called bubble. Uh, I possibly know what your response is going to be, considering you're the co-founder of Vosmos, but still would like to hear of it in terms of where do you think uh, today metaverse stands? Is it a bubble? Is it possibly something that's going to become as big as the internet, say 20 years from now? So,
Mhm.
what is your view on metaverse as it stands today?
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not a biased view. Hopefully, it's a more practical view. That's
Yeah.
that's that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So I believe in the concept. So it's not the terminology, right? Okay, it's called metaverse right now, but
Yeah.
it's more of the concept that I believe on, right? And
Yeah.
uh, you know, like you rightly said, when internet came in, right,
Hmm.
Web 2.0,
Hmm.
okay, uh, will it work or not? Why we should
Yeah.
be part of it, and all that, right?
Hmm.
The reason there is so much of ambiguity in metaverse, right,
Hmm.
is because the concept is looked differently.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. It's not going to replace our physical life. I
True.
think let's correct that, which is the
Hmm.
people think, oh, it's going to be, my life online,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's not going to replace it.
it's not going to replace it. What
Yeah.
it's going to do is it's basically going to replace what you do online in
Hmm.
uh, in your Google searches and everything that you're doing, right? It's
Yeah.
going to replace that and how you
Hmm.
consume content online currently
Hmm.
in a more experiential, immersive, data-driven manner. So the
Hmm.
replacement is going to be that. So it's an enhancement of what you do online right now in a
Hmm.
more effective, efficient, immersive, exciting manner. Right? It's
Right.
not true. So you're not going to get married online. Let's get it right. Right? You
You
know,
never know. You never know.
I'm telling you that as human beings, we cannot be, so okay, let's look at this way. Once in a while, you'll have people who do that, right?
Yeah.
But for me, if a concept is not for the masses, you
Yeah.
know, there's no point, right?
Correct.
And if metaverse if it is not to be a bubble,
Hmm.
then it has to be for masses,
Yeah.
right? So that's very important, and
Correct.
that is why one has to understand that it is not these
Hmm.
one-off things that are happening, and
Hmm.
people think, oh, is it really possible, right?
Yeah.
Possible is it. Good thing about tech is everything is possible.
Yeah.
Everything can be is possible in that
Hmm.
world. But the meta commerce part of it, right? The moment
Yeah.
you're looking at metaverse, you start talking about meta commerce and
Hmm.
start saying, okay, how do I kind of move the current transactions that I do online
Hmm.
to this world, right?
Yeah.
Make it more efficient. For example, right, there's a
Hmm.
data which says that in the e-commerce world, about 18.1% or maybe more, in fact,
Hmm.
it keeps going up. Uh, Products get returned, right?
Correct.
But the mindset is, okay, I'll buy it, I don't like it, I'll return it, right?
Hmm.
There's so much inefficiency which is there, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
everyone in that whole supply chain, everyone's time, effort, money gets wasted, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Metaverse, when you're there, you're connecting with the brand, you're talking to a customer executive, you're making a more informed decision, right?
Yeah.
It will automatically become better, right? The moment
Yeah.
that starts becoming better,
Hmm.
your time online starts becoming better.
True.
The
Yeah.
learning part of it, the whole learning, if you look at it,
Yeah.
is a huge fad of online learning, right? And I say
Hmm.
fad because we say, oh, there are such huge organizations which have scaled up globally,
Yeah.
uh, and they are doing
Hmm.
online courses.
Hmm.
The completion percentage is,
Very, very low because of the experience.
10% or so, right?
Yeah.
Now, but the whole idea of a learning organization should be what? I am
Hmm.
able to teach people more and make it more impactful, right?
Yeah.
But look at it, all the money
Hmm.
is being made
Hmm.
not by completing the courses, but by enrolling it, right?
Yeah.
In a and one has to find out why, right? Because
Hmm.
it's not very interesting. You are listening to a video, but that's about it, right? There is
Correct.
people are trying to do whatever best in their capacity to make the course complete, but it
Hmm.
just doesn't work. And the
True.
generation is changing.
Yeah.
There is something called learning through distraction, right?
Hmm.
It is a phenomenally a crazy concept.
Yeah.
If someone would said, okay, learning through distraction 5 years back, they said, what's
Hmm.
wrong with you? How can you learn when there is distraction, right?
Correct.
That's how it is, right?
Right.
And metaverse will help you achieve that.
Correct.
So hence, I say that
Hmm.
one has to understand the concept.
Hmm.
It's not going to change what you do physically. You
True.
can't sleep on metaverse, right? You'll have to
True.
sleep physically. That's how we are built.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
whatever you do online,
Hmm.
because we were talking about roti kapda makan types, right? So
Yeah.
I'll shop. You shop online, you learn
Hmm.
online, you play online, you work online, you socialize online, your entertainment is online,
Hmm.
right? Currently, more than 98% of the work happens around these six topics, right?
Yeah.
How Metaverse is going to do exactly that,
Hmm.
but in a more immersive, interactive, and data-driven manner.
Correct. So, in fact, this is a thought that has come to me a few times because I have had people who've been creating something on the metaverse come pitch from different marketing aspects, and this is where personally I face the biggest problem. So, even through the conversations that we've had over the last 10-15 minutes, I think a lot of focus is towards experiences, adding more value to say, or changing people's perceptions from, say, a brick and mortar to a more digital universe. You spoke very jokingly about marriages, for example. A Tinder doing it, I won't be surprised in the next few years. So these are all experiences as such. I actually, a lot of my thoughts go also towards the other spectrum of marketing, which is when you talk about media, right? Because media amplification is a huge business. We spoke about TV, newspaper, print, etc. All of this in the beginning of the conversation. But if we look at metaverse today and say in the next 5 years you have a substantial reach and substantial engagement on metaverse, how do you feel a media being sold on the metaverse? Do you think a consumption would be higher? Because possibly, at least how I imagine is that when you enter a metaverse, you have like billboards, for example, and you'll be able to digitize it, and those kind of things. But do you see, say, things like performance marketing, for example, being shifted to metaverse? I know a lot of people have been trying ads on gaming sites, for example, but that's a lot of it is used from the branding standpoint. You don't see people clicking on an ad when they are in the midst of a game and leaving the platform to actually purchase the product at that point.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, just from a media perspective, I know this is obviously very futuristic. And I think down the path, we'll obviously get a better idea. But today, as we stand, what is your view on the entire media and metaverse?
It's very difficult to say that because
Yeah.
when the moment any platform, right,
Hmm.
has 100,000 people,
Yeah.
then it all turns out to be a media frenzy platform than anything else,
Yeah,
right?
because everyone wants to monetize.
Exactly, right? That's what it is, right? So, uh, so I don't know whether. So, honestly, you are saying 5 years. We've already
Hmm.
got questions of saying, okay, can we have a billboard there? And I'm
Hmm.
saying, wait, man, let people start coming in and consuming
Correct.
content the right
Yeah.
way. Why do you want a billboard? Because
Hmm.
everyone wants to do something new, right? Everyone
Correct.
wants to try something new, right? Will your performance marketing shift there? See, that is
Hmm.
why I said it's a evolution of digital marketing to
Hmm.
metaverse. Right? That
Hmm.
will happen, right? It
Yeah.
will become a tool, right?
Hmm.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And if your customer is there, then you
Hmm.
will market it
Correct.
logically.
Correct.
You will market it.
Yeah.
I just feel that metaverse will bring a lot more efficiency. For
Hmm.
example, right? The
Hmm.
moment you add the blockchain concept to it, where you
Hmm.
start saying, okay, this block has this
Hmm.
behavior pattern, right?
Right.
Then you don't have to talk to another block because
Hmm.
you say, I only want to talk to these set of people
Yeah.
because of their behavior pattern, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Then whether you will want, you know, whether it will be a billboard driven thing
Hmm.
or whether it be the whole environment getting customized, you
Yeah.
know, is something which is possible, right? For
Correct.
example, once we have enough data, you
Hmm.
know, if Prashant walks into a metaverse, in Vosmos, suppose, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Entire Vosmos is based on what Prashant would ideally want and
Yeah.
remove things what you don't want, right?
Hmm.
What is very important is not to have things that you don't want, right?
Hmm.
A lot of times, oh, he might like this, he might also like this, and he might also like this, so let's put everything, right?
Hmm.
I believe that what's going to happen is that, in the advertisement space, in the marketing space and all, is that
Hmm.
it starts becoming that knowing the individual and showing those stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
Whether it will happen through billboards or not, I don't
Hmm.
know. But yeah, it is going to evolve. The digital marketing, performance
Correct.
marketing will all start getting metaverse as a tool, kit for them, how
Hmm.
to kind of connect with the customer there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's possibly a good way of looking at it because, like the internet, right, or digital, as we spoke about it, this was like in 2005. If you spoke to so many people saying that you can get performance conversions approvals through digital, people would have thought you're a little crazy. So I think obviously it's the journey, but I think with your response we definitely get a slightly clearer view in terms of possibly where metaverse can lead its way. uh,
And
yeah.
sorry, you finish. I'll add one more point to it.
Yeah, no, and I was saying I think it's basically more about the journey. I think once we go into the journey, see how people develop it, because there's a lot that's happening on metaverse. Like yourself, you're doing a lot on the metaverse
Yeah.
ecosystem. So I think it depends on people like yourself and others as well, to see actually what's the path for it.
Oh, absolutely. And what I was about to add to it was,
Yeah.
look at one of the bigger problems. I was part of a panel
Hmm.
discussion recently,
Hmm.
and there were advertisers, because you bought
Yeah.
advertisers as a point, right? There were advertisers and all in that.
Yeah.
And one pain point that came out was
Hmm.
the cost of customer acquisition, the
Hmm.
growing cost of customer acquisition, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You see, every because the control is not there, right? You
Yeah.
eventually have those core platforms, which I don't
Hmm.
want to get into, where
Yeah.
you kind of market and put all your money in,
Correct.
and you expect those platforms to deliver for you, right?
Correct.
And you
Correct.
don't have a control over it.
Hmm.
So it means that what's happening is that, you know, I'll give you an example. There
Hmm.
was a brand which started marketing online, and their
Hmm.
customer acquisition cost in the first year was
Hmm.
hovering, suppose it was X, right?
Yeah.
Same platform, same product, same geography.
Hmm. Hmm.
A year later, it was, I think it started with about $100,
Yeah.
and it kind of year later, it was closer to about $1,500.
Correct.
The product cost has not gone up. you
Hmm.
know the market has not changed.
Hmm.
uh, the geography is the same,
Yeah.
platform is the same,
Correct.
but you're paying so much for it, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pain point which was there, right?
Hmm.
Because you're again depending on a third party who's going to kind of, not talk about too much on the customer, but saying that,
Hmm.
hey, here is this person clicked on your ad, so maybe
Hmm.
he or she is interested.
Yeah.
You don't even know whether that is true or
Correct.
false.
Hmm.
Metaverse can bring in that efficiency if done well,
Yeah.
because you are, more deeper into your customer interaction and building brands.
True.
For the longest, right?
Hmm.
The most efficient way to acquire a customer is word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
Or repeat customers.
Right.
Metaverse is going to help you achieve that.
Hmm.
That's where for advertisers it can be, not just about moving from, what they do now to
Hmm.
what Metaverse can offer,
Hmm.
but it significantly bring the cost down, to connecting with the customer and making them a repeat customer for you.
Right. And in fact, you just spoke about cost per customer acquisition, for example.
Yeah.
And if we are talking about, say, metaverse, because on metaverse, also depending on the platform you are or the tool that you're creating, there is going to be a customer acquisition cost, for example. And I
Mhm.
think, like most of the things that we've seen where it requires a behavioral shift, your initial cost per acquisition is always going to be lower, because you have your early adopters, people, either developers or people who understand the ecosystem, or people who've been following the entire development of it, are going to be possibly coming onto your platform, maybe close to free of cost. But then there is that cluster of people that get saturated. Then you start opening your platform to a larger cluster where still there is some apprehension, you're changing or asking for change in consumer behavior. So do you see that kind of apprehension today existing for metaverse, for example? And I'm presuming the same trend would follow, right? That you would have early adopters coming at a lower cost. Then suddenly, when that part is saturated, your cost is going to spike, because you're going to reach out to a new audience that was never used to interacting in this kind of manner. And then obviously, based on the kind of marketing and media that you do, then you can either decrease it or plateau it at a certain stage. So what the question I was coming to was that, considering that this is very highly target audience or target group based, do you see today, as we stand, a lot of people? So I'm not talking about the early adopters or the developers; those guys are always there to support your platform. But I'm talking about the next set or the next cluster of people that you definitely proactively need to reach out to change those behaviors. So do you see those other cluster of people also slowly starting to come onto metaverse platforms?
I would say good observation. I think you've kind of, put the past together in the right way.
Yeah.
The present has changed a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, past there was a trend of how people adopted technology.
Right.
With over 2 years of COVID, things have
Hmm.
changed drastically. Of the way people have adopted
Hmm.
technology, right?
Hmm.
Now the adoption of smartphone has gone up.
Yeah.
Internet has become better.
Hmm.
5G, will come in soon, right? Yes, it will
Yeah.
start from tier one and then go down, but it will
Hmm.
come in, right?
Hmm.
4G is doing fine.
Hmm.
Can be better, definitely, but there.
Yeah.
So, so one thing is that adoption,
Hmm.
because earlier there were only a certain set of people.
Hmm.
Now, if you look at in a country like India, there is a much
Hmm.
larger base, right? That's one.
Yeah.
Plus, earlier people were focused on, the whole basic, can I take care of my
Hmm.
basics first, right? And
Correct.
rest is. Now
Yeah.
there's a very large audience, which is this is why the youth of the country, where the world looks us as
Hmm.
young country,
Hmm.
the aspiration is fairly high,
Yeah.
right? Look at, again, you would know it, the data of e-commerce,
Hmm.
the growth of e-commerce is happening in tier 2, tier 3 towns, not
Correct.
in tier 1 towns, right?
Correct.
So with all of that, I
Hmm.
feel that the adoption is, of a tech like this is going to be
Hmm.
faster, because you're
Right.
not, while again I'm saying that while you are, if you look at the concept, you are
Hmm.
evolving from, uh, you know what you do online to
Yeah.
something experiential, right?
Correct.
And again, one has to understand that
Hmm.
it cannot be only a PC driven thing, right?
Yeah.
A VR headset driven thing. That's
Right.
the other aspect of it. For you to
Yeah.
make sure that the rest of the audience adapt
Hmm.
to it, it still needs to be mobile friendly,
Yeah.
right? You know, for example, people talk about metaverse as gaming, right? That,
Hmm.
okay, it's
Hmm.
a lot about gaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, even if you take that,
Hmm.
gaming industry also, it's a
Hmm.
1:3 ratio, right?
Yeah.
If PC gamers are X, mobile gamers are 3X, right?
Correct.
That's how it is.
Right.
Hence, the if you take that concept and work
Hmm.
on making sure that people can use it fairly easily on their handheld devices, right?
Hmm.
It just starts becoming easier for people to use it, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what one has to look. But
Hmm.
the adoption can happen very fast. It will
Yeah.
not be the journey of, okay, first, this set of people come in and
Hmm.
then the rest we'll have to push harder. Again,
Hmm.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
See, imagine I have a, yes, for example, for us, there is an e-mall in the
Hmm.
on Cosmos, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There are brands who are taking up stores, right, and then
Correct.
showcasing the product.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what would a brand need to? The brand doesn't need to, they can also say, "Oh, I'm going to promote my store," and then I'm going to
Hmm.
push out, spend marketing.
Yeah.
I think the other way to do it is, okay, do a, make a fund and do a marketing together, because you're almost
Hmm.
talking to the same TG for different sets of products,
Hmm.
right? You can get your costs down, right?
True.
And
Yeah.
each of them, and the
Hmm.
reason I brought this up was each
Hmm.
of them talking to, certain set of customers, right?
Yeah.
And spreading the word,
Hmm.
because they have to, right?
Correct.
So it's that journey of, will it, start at a lower cost and then the
Hmm.
cost will go up, right?
Hmm.
The moment the brand starts coming on the platform, right?
Yeah.
You will not go through that cycle,
Correct.
because
True.
you have, imagine if you have 100 brands on the
Hmm.
platform talking
Yeah.
about themselves,
Yeah.
talking about it,
Yeah.
then the info will always be there.
Exactly, exactly. I think good point. And in fact, the other thing I was thinking, since we just spoke about audiences and target groups and ease of use, I was just thinking, because I tend to get a lot of these questions, that today, if we want to access the metaverse, right?
Mhm.
How do people do it? Because I think there is a lot of apprehension that, is it within the ecosystem of the internet? Is there another device that I'm supposed to use? I've heard a lot about metaverse. Is it, going to be in such a way where I'm going to be, within, like, say, a VR headset, for example? So there's a lot of questions about it, but I think there are very few answers that kind of uh, tell an individual, an audience, a customer, whatever, that it's not that different from accessing the internet. So maybe considering if you can use Vosmos as an example, just to pass on or share information on how do people actually access Vosmos, for example.
So it's a very important question,
Yeah.
right? Only because if you look at it, a lot of it is metaverse, because it was, the concept was at crypto level conversation
Yeah.
happening and all that.
Yeah.
It was built on, Unity, which is,
Hmm.
the gaming platform, because
Correct.
metaverse all
Yeah.
was, still a lot of people,
Very
you
early
know,
stages, nascent. Yeah.
yeah, talk about metaverse and gaming together, right? It's
Yeah.
it's uh, so what happens is those are
Hmm.
fairly heavy platforms. You need
Hmm.
high-end devices.
Hmm.
Using it mobile is very difficult. You might need an
Hmm.
app to kind of download it, right? So
Hmm.
that's one set of metaverse. So hence accessing
Yeah.
that can be difficult for a larger audience, right?
Yeah.
Then there are web-based metaverses, right? Which
Yeah.
is which is where you kind of, you are trying to log in and, connect.
Yeah.
Few of them, but it's again fairly heavy to use it, because it's a
Hmm.
lot more avatar driven thing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I think there's still some time where you can, say, oh, avatar can function very well, for a larger set of audience. For a certain set
Yeah.
of audience, yes.
Hmm.
But logically, imagine we are on the screen. How many avatars you can see at one go, right? Who can move around, interact, and all that?
Hmm.
It will become like a crowded market place where you can't move around.
Hmm.
Or a Bombay local train where you say, okay, you're just stuck. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
So hence a lot of people are talking about avatar,
Hmm.
but let's see how that evolves, right? You can't
Yeah.
the multi avatar thing is something which
Hmm.
still is far away from it, right?
Hmm.
And then people talking about consuming through VR headsets. I
Yeah.
think VR headset thing, even the best of one, you get an Oculus, at
Hmm.
$500. One, it is expensive, right? The other
Yeah.
is you can use it for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
15. Beyond that, I don't think there is,
Yeah, I had an entire, I mean, I had a headache for an entire day. I used it for 20 minutes on one day. It's not possible. At least
it's
the
not
technology
possible.
is not there yet.
Absolutely right. So it's still few years when that tech comes in, right? Both from the tech and the cost effectiveness part of it for
Yeah.
the masses, right? So
Hmm.
so hence that's so, and the other piece is for consumer to consume it,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
brands or the organizations which are working on metaverse needs to focus on the consumer first and not on the tech first.
Yeah.
A lot of people are focusing on the tech first, unfortunately,
Hmm.
and the consumer
Yeah.
has to change. The
Yeah.
moment that thought process changes, right,
Hmm.
you will start seeing it easier for people to consume it. And
True.
for us, that's what's worked, right?
Correct.
Not saying our approach is the best, but that's our approach, where we've said
Yeah.
we let's put the consumer right now and see where
Hmm.
the consumer is in his or her journey, and
Yeah.
can I kind of build something which kind of gives them the experience, right?
Hmm.
And still they are able to consume it on the device that they have, rather than trying to figure out, what do I
Exactly. Yeah.
get another device or so,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's the thought process which is there. And because we're talking marketing and we are
Hmm.
talking consumer,
Yeah.
a lot of consumers has
Hmm.
not seen gaming also
To its
immersive,
maximum potential.
right?
Yeah.
They have not seen
Yeah.
it. For them, even the basic website is still good enough.
Yeah.
Now, that if you just enhance that
Hmm.
and make it experiential, right?
Yeah.
They'll be wowed by it, right? And
Yeah.
think this itself is big, and that's what we've
Hmm.
seen. We've had a platform shown to best of guys, and then
Hmm.
people who are not very tech savvy and all, right?
True.
They've all loved it because
Hmm.
the expectation is not
Hmm.
that, right? They've not seen something
Yeah.
like, even that is okay. What we are trying to do is, rather than taking one step, we are going to the
Hmm.
other end and saying, hey, you can be inside it, you can have VR glasses and
Hmm.
all of the tech.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work, not for the
Yeah.
mass.
Yeah. No. And I think having a strategy that has your customers at the center, I think, is always the best strategy. So, in fact, just to wrap up today's episode, since I know we've largely spoken about metaverse, but a lot of things run in parallel, right? Your connection that you have. So 5G coming up. We have the whole NFT conversations. We have blockchain. We've had cryptocurrency being in a bubble for a very long time now. Obviously, metaverse. So all of these things are somewhat working in tandem. But eventually, I think all of these need to work together to be able to provide a consolidated platform. Now, when we connected back to marketing, and this obviously considering that, how we started this podcast, how I started this podcast, is that I'm trying to see or looking into the future how all of these new developments or technologies are going to be able to help marketing, not just be a new fad where people are just including it because, oh, it's a good PR article.
Right.
So my question to you is, how do you think all of this would be able to actually support marketing in the future? Because tomorrow, as we know it, marketing 4.0 or 5.0, as people call it, it's all about these technologies plus things like IoT, VR, AI. But these are all mechanisms, right? Your
Right.
core is still the same. You have to acquire customers. Customers need to interact with you. They need to still keep coming back to you. And I think we briefly cover that as well. But just as closing notes, what would you have to say for this?
It's been long that I've read a book about marketing, right?
Yeah,
Don't pick that up. There's so much marketing. So, but when we were talking about 5.0, and I said, okay,
yeah,
let me go look what the professors are talking about,
correct.
what people doing research are talking about.
Yeah,
And I have to tell you, when I read it, I was jumping around. I think the same thing that we are talking. Okay, not bad at all, right? So,
yeah,
which is what? Which is saying that the next evolution in marketing is
hmm,
going to be making it more experiential for the customer, right?
correct. Yeah,
And making it more experiential, and
hmm,
it has to be data driven, which is the whole personalization comes in.
yeah,
And through technology, I think those are three four. So you have to make it experiential, you have to
hmm,
make it interactive, you have to make it data driven, and
hmm,
technology has to play a bigger role in that, right?
yeah,
So that's what it is. So
hmm,
if you look at that, right, all the tech that you mentioned, right, I'm
hmm,
not sure about the crypto part of it, so I'll leave
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
But all the other aspect of it, the VR, the AR, the NFTs of the world,
hmm,
and the metaverse and all,
hmm,
it's all going to be part of it. How it's going to
hmm,
evolve,
yeah,
what will be the journey? I think, like I said, if we are able to put the customer at the center of it and
hmm,
then work around it, I
hmm,
think that whole thing can marry, because marketing is all about keeping customer at the center of it,
true.
right?
Exactly. That's what you said.
Keep the
Yeah.
customer at the center of it, take care of the experience, add
Hmm,
value, and then you will see this all coming together beautifully.
hmm,
Uh, and then I think as a marketer, this is the best time. I've had
yeah.
quite a few conversations with a lot of marketing guys, and I
Hmm,
tell that for the longest we were in
hmm,
the execution mode, right? Brand
yeah.
building is not spoken about. Even
Hmm,
in the VC conversations, honestly, right?
hmm,
Every time it's like, okay, what's your ARR, what's your MRR,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
But they talk about repeat customers, but they don't talk about, you know are you building a brand,
yeah.
right? I think this whole marketing 5.0, the
Hmm,
metaverse part of it and all, will help marketers build brand, and
true.
that's super exciting according to me.
Yeah, no, and I think, you covered a very interesting term, excitement, because I think uh, at least the way marketing is going, or the next few years of it, is at least very, very exciting for me. And I'm sure for a lot of other people as well. So if I had the option, I think I would have continued this conversation for a very, very long time. But thank you so much, Piyush, for coming on board, especially on the first episode of season two. I think metaverse as just a clickbait word also will do very well for me, because there are so many conversations going on about it, and there's a lot of curiosity as well. People do want to learn, people want to know more about it, because a lot of people see it as a future. And I think what you're doing is definitely empowering the entire ecosystem, uh, if not in a huge way, at least in a small way as you can. So thank you so much for this episode and also the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Prashant, for having me. I had lovely time talking to you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.